Hello my friends and welcome back to Italy, a place to love YouTube channel. In today's video I want to open an hot topic for me because it's touching me personally, because I'm a native Italian speaker, but anyway, I'm speaking English constantly, and so the topic is are Italian people speaking in English? This is a good question. Anyway, many of you probably have had this experience, came to Italy, maybe some they didn't, but doesn't matter. Just to understand what is the level, what is the level of Italian people speaking in English. There are a lot of things to do. For me, it's a big topic, it's a hot topic. And anyway, as a not native English speaker, and I'm using anyway English language constantly, in my family I speak English, I don't speak Italian. Only when I go outside and I interact with other people, I'm speaking Italian, even if sometimes I would speak in English even when I'm outside, but obviously it's easy for me. But, from an expat point of view, for example, now here for me it's easy, I repeat, I put the accent on this topic, for me it's easy, I'm Italian, I speak Italian, I go out there in the street and I can have a conversation with anyone in Italian, I go to an office, I go to the doctor, but for an expat, and because on this channel anyway I'm speaking in English, I'm talking to an English public, to English people who maybe would like to relocate to Italy. I see there are a lot of people who are interested, for example, in buying a property here or living here, whatever. So what problem could they face the moment they are moving to Italy? I believe, anyway, it's not easy for a not native Italian speaker to buy a house or to rent, but to decide to live in Italy, it's not straight away very easy. But I want to say that at the same time, it's not impossible. So I want to be positive and I want to see from all the angles how's the situation for a not native Italian speaker who is coming to Italy. For example, I have a friend who recently purchased a house here in Italy, in Molise region. Probably he knows, if he's watching the video, he knows I'm referring to him. I was having a kind of, I was sharing audio messages with him, and anyway, he was talking from his point of view, from his experience, and anyway, a part that is very happy that he purchased the property in a town that he loves, so I'm very happy for him, and I'm sure he's gonna enjoy the experience. Obviously, he has to face at one stage the fact that he's not living in a native English speaking country, and so he has to deal, but anyway, the approach has to be positive, first of all. Has to be positive, and you don't have to be that negative. Why? Now, let's go back to the beginning of the video. So, are Italian people speaking in English? Now, let me say, let's start from, if if I'm talking to anyone out there, now I start laughing already before I'm saying, but if I start talking to anyone out there, and I'm saying, hey, do you speak English? The answer, 90%, if not 99%, is yes. So all the Italian believed, sorry, all the Italian believe they speak English. Okay, this is in the blood of Italian people. Now, why they're all speaking in English? Now, probably, okay, let's leave apart elderly people who maybe never went to, who they went to school but they never studied English. But let me say, from my age and under, but let's say from 55, let's say from 60 years old and younger, everyone has a basic knowledge of English. Okay, so from this point of view, if you are an expat, if you are someone who is buying a house, I'd say don't worry too much, because from the age of 60 and under, so then the younger you go, the more they speak in English. That's uh, 100%. I'm telling you, for example, a short episode. I went to the sea this summer and I was speaking in English with my wife, because with my wife I speak in English. Normally, we were on the beach and a child, 11 years old, came to us speaking fluently in English. I was shocked. He was an Italian child. I was simply shocked by this. And he started asking to my wife, "Are you English?" My wife said no, but anyway, we started a bit of conversation in English. He was happy to speak in English. And then we asked, my wife asked to this child, "Where did you learn English? Because your level is so good." He's saying, "Playing video games." Wow, the answer was kind of shocking, because I could never expect, for example, to have this type of answer. Me, I learned, and my level I still consider a bit low after spending nearly 20 years abroad, and my English is still not perfect as I wish, as I wanted, as I was dreaming of, to do journalism in English language, that I failed, but it's fine. Then I never wanted to do journalism in Italian, so forget about it. So the young generations are into English, wow, at a very high level. So I presume that people who are people, teenagers or children who are under 18 years old, maybe they're not fluently speaking in English, but they're all at a good level, all of them. So they study in school. Obviously, if I compare when I start studying English in school, and I'm talking about 40 years ago, nearly 40 years ago, the way we were teaching English was very light. So now maybe with the technology, because the smartphones and the tablets and everything, many videos are in English with YouTube, I don't know, with all these platforms and socials, let me say, children are very familiar with the English language, video games. So this makes a kind of future. If we look at from the future point of view, I'd say that in the next 10, 20 years, we should see a big develop of the knowledge, a big improving of the knowledge of English in Italian, in Italy, so sorry, spoken by Italian people. I'm not saying that the English language is going to replace Italian. That's probably, I mean, that it won't happen, but even if it happens, I mean, for me, it doesn't matter. I'm personally promoting English here in Italy, so for me, it doesn't even matter what language I'm speaking. It's important to speak a language, to know a language. Then, if we are saying, oh, we lose the culture, okay, learn your language, speak your language. This brings me to another topic. I can't believe when I'm talking in front of the camera, one topic opens another topic. I give you another short example. So I was born in Torino, in Turin, in the north of Italy. Now we are in the same country. So my parents are originally from Montemilone. Then in the 60s, when they were in their early 20s, they moved to Torino. Sorry. Then me and my sister, we were born in the 70s. Um, my parents, they never spoke Italian at home. Why they never spoke Italian? Because in Montemilone they have their own dialect, okay, that is similar to Napolitan dialect. But so at home they've been always speaking in their dialect, because they were all native from the same town. There was no reason for them to switch, for example, to Italian. Why they should have switched to Italian language when they were at home? Maybe when they were outside working or meeting other people. Obviously, you speak Italian, you studied Italian, I mean, not you studied Italian, you were studying in school in Italian language, obviously you know. But it happens in many countries where they have maybe a second language, and so maybe in school they study one language and they speak the one language in the daily society, but then at home, for example, I'm thinking about Basque people in Spain. For example, the Basque, they're all studying in Spanish, but at home they're all speaking in Basque. So they are bilingual. For example, me, I understand very well Montemilonese dialect, Montemilone dialect. I understand it very well because so my parents were always speaking at home in the dialect, but for example, I never practiced in speaking the dialect, so I lost this knowledge. I can put some efforts if I want, but for me, it's not really important. In the end, what I want to say that it's more important what is important. I mean, then let me say the culture is important and we don't have to lose. For example, it's a pity if Montemilone dialect is gonna go lost. But this is the natural, I see it as the natural flow of the life. No, things are never stable. Things are constantly changing, and I can see this from, I mean, in many, many different subjects. So, because things are not static, we have to take it as they are, and then maybe to catch the opportunity. For example, for me that I'm not speaking at home, I don't speak Italian. Even if my wife is learning a bit Italian, she could speak a bit of it, she could speak in Italian, but no, I stated when we met, I said we will always speak in English. We met in an English speaking country, you are an English teacher, even if she's not a native English person, but it's also, I want to keep English language constantly inside of me. I don't want to spend 1, 2, 3 years and then maybe forgetting. So I want to keep exercising, I want to keep practicing English. So for me, it's very important in a daily routine to keep speaking in English. And so this, then, if you see it as an opportunity, it opens always new doors. For example, now my wife is still waiting for the working permits here in Italy. They haven't given, so we are waiting. Anyway, she's doing, she's teaching, she's doing some teaching, but anyway, the moment she will get the working permit to work here in Italy, a lot of, I mean, because she's speaking English at a native level, because she spent more years than me in an English speaking country, and then she studied in her country, she studied in the university English language, so she's a professional teacher. She is already taken as, anyway, as a professional English teacher here in Italy. And I saw the level she went to have a few interviews. She passed all these interviews. Now we are only waiting for the working permits, but I saw the level of the people who are teaching English here in Italy. I was a bit shocked. Anyway, these people have English schools and they're teaching English to Italians. So, but anyway, here in Italy at the moment I see that in many, many English schools they are desperately looking for English native speakers. So this opens a new door, for example, for someone who wants to relocate or who wants to settle here in Italy, and you are an English native speaker. For example, you can be American, you can be English, you can be Irish, you can be whatever you want. In the town where you will relocate, they will always need in the schools, for example, an English speaker. And they don't care if you speak Italian, because actually for me the best way to learn for the Italians to learn English is to not learn from an Italian teacher. The best is to learn from someone who is native English and doesn't even speak a word of Italian, because Italians have to put the efforts, if they want to learn English, to speak in English, to understand English. So from the basic, then you develop and so on. And so this is from the Italian point of view, where anyway, if Italians wants to learn English, we started from the fact that here, anyway, everyone everyone thinks they're speaking in English, then you'll see when you start having a bit of conversation, then you realize that maybe the level can be very low or just a bit above very low or medium, but we are humans. In the end, we understand each other. For example, Italians are very patient with foreigners. Now, even if you don't speak a word of Italian, let me say you will always find a way to communicate. You know, Italians have this habit to speak with the hands. So food, if you need food, um, we do like this. We do like this even when we speak between Italian. Andiamo a mangiare. Andiamo a mangiare. So now it's a pity that I'm not an Italian teacher. I can't really teach Italian. But so Italians, I think they have not they have the chance, but for me, in the next 5, 10, 15, and 20 years, we will see more and more Italian speaking fluently in English. I want to give my contribution by speaking in English in Italy. Then someone might blame me, but then we're gonna lose the culture. I don't care, to be honest. But Italian will never go lost. I mean, if you speak Italian, you speak Italian. That's it. If you are native, from this point of view. Then, anyway, from the foreigner point of view, and I'm coming to Italy, so there are two aspects. One is that I might give for granted that the person that I'm talking to is speaking in English. That could be wrong, for example. And the other one could be that, anyway, who is coming here, the foreigner that is coming here, have to put efforts to learn a bit of Italian. So I see them, both of the cases, important. So I see that obviously as a foreigner you might pretend a bit people to understand you, because here everyone pretends to speak English. So basically you can come and speak in English. That's it. Simply because Italians pretend to speak English. Italians pretend to speak English. For this reason, I would say don't even say a word of Italian, because here they're all English teachers. If you're going to ask to normal people, I want to put the accent on this because, anyway, I'm shocked by the way everyone is saying they're speaking in English. Well, for me, they are not. But at a basic level, yes, okay? And then from the other point of view, if you are an expat and you are coming to Italy, I would say, yes, put some efforts anyway to learn a bit of Italian. It might always help you. That's perfect. Then the last thing I want to say, and then I close the video about the English language here in Italy. Now, I'm Italian. I came back to Italy after 20 years and whatever. Obviously for me it's easy, for my wife it's not that easy, but there is me. For example, we went to the GP, we went to the doctor, and we had to go together because my wife couldn't interact 100% in a perfect Italian. She understands, also because Italian language is not difficult. So I want to really give you a support by saying, listen, don't worry, Italian language is much easier than English, much easier. Italians understand you even if the grammar is totally wrong, even if you don't follow the grammar at all, you put one word after another one without verbs, we understand you. We understand you. 90% of the Italians don't speak Italian grammarly perfect, so there's nothing to worry from this point of view. Not even my parents speak grammarly perfect. When I speak on the phone with my mom, she makes so many grammar mistakes. I don't even say, hey mom, you said this wrong, you said that wrong. No, who cares? Anyway, I understand you. Well, for me, what is important is to understand. It's not really that the person that I'm talking with is speaking perfectly Italian. No, I don't care about this. Then there are the professional of the language. I don't like them at all. The one who said, how dare you do not speak Italian perfectly? Who cares? What is important is to understand each other. Anyway, I was going already to another topic. No, what I'm saying to the expats who wants to relocate to Italy, and I hope you are watching up to now if you're is that I would consider to choose areas in Italy where I know there are already some English speakers. That is important. For example, I know that a lot of English speakers are in Sicily, for example, are in Tuscany. Sicily maybe because a lot of Italians who moved to United States, Italian Americans, let me say, they were originally from Sicily, and now a lot of these Italians who were parents, grandparents moved to United States, now they're fully American citizens. They are thinking to go back to the origins. For example, Sicily is beautiful, whatever, apart the issue with the water, that there are scandals, but I don't want to open this topic now. So a lot of expats are choosing for areas where there are other English speakers. And for me that is important anyway. Why? It's important to have a little community where you can have, for example, a bit of a deeper conversation, more than, let me say, you buy a house in a town where there's not even one English speaker. You might find yourself a bit isolated. Then what I would recommend you is, you bought there, let someone of your family or let a friend as well saying, oh, there is this great opportunity, buy also here for you, like this. Anyway, then the voices are spreading, for example, and then you might find a little community. Then Tuscany, going back, in Tuscany there's plenty of English native speakers, between Americans, English, British, Irish, and Germans. Now, we know all the Germans are speaking English. Most of the German people I met in my life, 99%, they were speaking a very good English because it's taught in school with very good methods. In Italy, we arrive a bit behind. Let me say we are 20, 30 years behind. These good methods of teaching in English, we are only applying maybe now for the last 5, 10 years. Before, the English we were teaching in school, not really at a very good level. So that's why for me, even for me, that I started studying English at the age of 10, but only the first time I went to UK that I was 17, and I said, oh, I speak English. Then I arrived there, I couldn't understand a word. Okay, it's true that in England they have mad accents, so that I'd say they don't even understand each other for me. But anyway, the accents in English language make a big difference. I remember when I moved to Ireland for the first time, I said, where am I? I really couldn't understand a word. Then 1 month, 2 months, 6 months, then you start catching the ear, then you start understanding, and anyway, then you realize your English, and then you might even take that kind of accent. If you go to Scotland, you might get a bit of Scottish accent. If you go to Ireland, you get Dublin accent. Then when I was in Dublin, I realized that people in Cork, they were speaking totally different accent, and people in Belfast, oh my God, Genie, the first time I heard a Northern Ireland speaker, I said, what language is speaking this? Anyway, a lot of things to say. Again, I think I made a bit of a long video. There's another area here in Apulia region that actually in this comment that I read bring me to my attention, that in Brindisi, that is a town just from Bari, if you go few kilometers, 50, 100 kilometers southern direction from Bari, there is this town Brindisi. It's well known that there was an American military base, so there are many English speaking people in this area. Brindisi is close to Ostuni, Alberobello. Anyway, and this is the reason why, for example, a lot of expats are choosing this area. Also in Abruzzo, start increasing the amount of people who are speaking in English. Then the more you go to the northern Italy, the more you find, for example, English speakers. But let me say, I want to be positive, and then I close the video, that the situation is getting better. So it's getting better in the way that many and more people are learning English here in Italy. So don't be scared if you are an expat who is moving here. You will find the way to communicate. Then it's also important to have someone around you that is also speaking English at your level, because then you might have a lack of conversation, then you might start suffering a bit. So like this friend of mine in Ireland, he bought recently in Molise region, but he told me that he met some Americans over there who also bought a house, and maybe they are not the only ones. So things are moving little by little, things are opening, the world is getting, anyway, much easier to commute from one place to another, and so on, and you might always find an English native speaker. Okay, my friends, after this, I just want to say that I hope, at the moment in Montemilone, me and my wife are the only one English speakers, not native English speakers, but English speakers. And hopefully we might find someone in the future, who knows, slowly, slowly. No rush. Antonio philosophy says, never rush in the life. Take your time, take it easy, and everything you want to do, you will do it. Okay, my friends, I'll see you to the next video, and I wish you a lovely Sunday evening. Here it's Sunday evening. As you can see, it's already a bit dark, so I had to turn on the lights. Okay, my friends, have a nice eve, and I'll see you to the next video from Italy, a place to love. Bye!